My name is Bueno, and the quality of character that I chose is loving. And Bruce Brown, in his book Teaching Character Through Sport, quotes a gentleman by the name of Eddie Robinson, who I think sums it up. He says, "Coaching is the profession of love. You can't coach people unless you love them." And I truly believe that, and that's a large reason why I chose this quality. So Webster's definition is somewhat limited, but I think still important to note. And so Webster defines love as a strong affection for another arising out of kinship or personal ties, warm attachment, enthusiasm, or devotion, unselfish, loyal, and benevolent concern for the good of another. And in my research about love and loving, I discovered there are 7 different types. There's eros, which is romantic love; philia, which is friendship or shared goodwill; storge, which is familial love; agape, which is universal or unconditional love, one that I'll come back to later on; ludus, which is playful or uncommitted love; pragma, which is practical love; and philautia, which is self-love. And in researching and learning about and reading about love and what it is, I've come to define it in my own words. And so love is meeting someone else's needs without expecting anything in return. Love is service, and love is unconditional. And so love is really coaching, right? We've done that, and we continue to do that for our athletes. A source that I really rely on for understanding various qualities and virtues is the Bible. And so in 1 Corinthians 13, 4 through 8, Paul describes what love is and what it isn't. And so I think it's really important for us to explore here. And so love is, it's patient, it's kind, it protects, it trusts, it hopes, and it perseveres. All things that we want in coaches, that we want to be as coaches for our kids. And Paul also describes what love is not. And these are equally as important to understand, because if we find ourselves operating this way, we really need to check our hearts and understand maybe why, and ultimately change our behaviors and our habits. And so love is not envious, it's not boastful, it's not proud, it doesn't dishonor others. Love is not self-seeking, it's not easily angered, it keeps no record of wrongs, does not delight in evil, and it never fails. And so if we find ourselves struggling in any of these areas, I think we really need to do some self-reflection and kind of realize where we've fallen short, and pursue the things that love is. Paul also says in Colossians 3:14, and over all these virtues put on love, which binds them all together in perfect unity. And so I include this text because of all the virtues that we know are so important and that we continue to learn about and intend to live out as coaches and model for our athletes. Without love, they're almost limited. They're not as effective as they can be if we don't love. And so we can discipline, we can motivate, we can teach, we can try to live out all of these really valuable character traits, but without love, none of them are bound together. And so I really urge us all to operate in love, to love our kids, and ultimately that's what's gonna bring out the best in all the other quality traits that we're trying to get our kids to live out. So a loving coach, very famous coach John Wooden, he, as we know, was so wise and just was a constant learner and had a lot of great sayings and teachings, and people are still learning from him till this day. And someone who was so wise and had, I bet, thousands of tools in his toolbox said this: the coach's most powerful tool is love. And the fact that a man like this, a coach like this, said that should tell us a lot about how important love is in our pursuits to be great coaches. Another loving coach we learned about in our text, The Season of Life by Jeffrey Marks, Joe Ehrman, right? There's a quote on page 3. He says to his team, "What is our job as coaches?" His team responds, "To love us." "And what is your job?" he asks. And they say, "To love each other." I thought this was so powerful and something that I think I'm gonna take with me when I speak to my teams, because I want my athletes to know that I love them, and equally important is for them to love each other. And I think that's really special if we can build that in young people. A movie clip that I included in here is from the movie McFarland. It's based on a true story about a coach who went to McFarland, California, and built a cross-country team kind of out of nothing, out of nowhere. And the reason why I included it is because he might not seem like the typical loving coach, but I think he demonstrates love in that he saw a need and he met it. He saw that there was untapped potential in these kids at this school, and he was actually a football coach, and he said, "I'm going to learn cross country. I'm going to teach these kids what it means to compete as cross country athletes." And he gave them something really special and helped them to believe in themselves, and just reminded them that they are special and they are important. And there's a clip that I included that outlines kind of his talk to them before they compete at the state championship. And in fact, in 1987, they won their first state championship, and then won 9 after that, 5 in a row at one point. And so that was a really awesome story about a coach who really loved his kids and really gave of himself to help them become great. So it wouldn't be right to do this presentation without including which I believe is the ultimate example of love, which is Jesus Christ. And I include two scriptures that kind of exemplifies this. And Romans 5:8 says, "But God demonstrates his own love for us in this: while we were still sinners, Christ died for us." And so he sets the ultimate example of what love is. And 1 John 4:7 says, "Dear friends, let us love one another, for love comes from God. Everyone who loves has been born of God and knows God." And so this scripture really has put roots in my heart as to why I'm to love the kids that I coach and the people that I meet, because God first loved me. And so my intention is to love those that I lead and those who I come into contact with. And so in conclusion, Theodore Roosevelt said, "People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care." And I know many of us have heard this before, and so I urge us as coaches to show our kids how much we care, how much we love them, because we can teach them all sorts of things, but ultimately when they walk away and they know that we love them, in the end, that's what's going to matter the most. Thank you very much.